think this cart needs a wheel bearing. Alright, well, I didn't do any filming on bolting the oil pan because I was trying to get some stuff done and make some progress. But then we got the wrong clutch kit from Napa, and we can't even find the flywheel, or we can't get a flywheel till tomorrow morning. And now we won't get the clutch kit till tomorrow morning, which doesn't matter because we won't have the flywheel. But anyway, so been driving around and been on the phone all day and basically got nothing done. So might as well film and show you guys what has to be done to get this oil pan out. So first things first, we loosened up this side motor mount and we jacked up the motor. You know, do this at your own risk and your own intelligence. I'm not responsible for what you do and where you push on your motor and what happens if you do push on your motor. So anyway, next we obviously unbolted all the bolts from the oil pan. I'll count them out and show them once the pan's off the car. And then I actually had to undo the oil cooler. So in order to do that, you unscrew your oil filter, and then this will be coming down through the cooler. This is a 24, oh man, this is 24 millimeter. It'll be hanging like that. This is where your oil filter screws are onto. 24 millimeter, loosen that up. Hoses, get your clamps off, and then that'll come right off. That is a very common problematic area. This seal up top always is leaking. So it's a good time to just do that as well. So oil cooler and oil pan will be sealed up. Now that that's out, I hope I have enough room to wiggle this out. But this exhaust is looking a little iffy. But I'm going to set you guys up on the tripod and hopefully I can wiggle this thing out of here. Alright, we finally got it out. What I ended up doing was unbolting the pickup tube. So, most likely that's what you will have to do as well. And if you don't have the transmission out, good luck on getting those bolts out of the back of the bottom of the oil pan on the back side. Unless these holes are drilled to get to them. That hole's right there, and that bolt's right there. That hole's right there. You might, with 1/4 inch and wobbles, it may be possible. Maybe that's why they drilled those holes. That'd be pretty smart if they did. But, I don't know, you might be losing your sockets up there, but who knows. Anyway, most likely you gotta unbolt your oil pickup tube. And now we're just gonna clean her all up. Go put it in the parts washer, clean it up some more. Once you get this gasket removed, wipe down the block, scrape the old gasket off of here. Typically you just use a Scotch-Brite, oil dry, get it all the oil residue off, or brake clean, I'm sorry, what did I just say? Brake clean, get all the oil off, and then hit it with the Scotch-Brite just to get that old silicone. Don't know what kind of silicone that is. I don't typically use whitish gray beige color. I use black or gray. Actually, now that I think about it, the gasket I have is actually gray right now, but either way, this is a little bit darker gray, I think. So this is what we'll be using, the Right Stuff 1 minute. Typically I buy the black. It's called Right Stuff Black version. I don't know exactly what the difference is, but I always buy the Right Stuff version, not just the regular Permatex. Right Stuff is always like 1 minute or instant application, so there's no waiting period. That's just why I prefer that, because I typically still wait, but it gives me a lot of peace of mind that I'm not going to have any problems. Also forgot to mention, not sure how critical it was, but I took these bolts, the nut and bolt. There's not a capture nut, it's actually a regular nut, so you have to hold it with a wrench, but 2 nut and bolts here, 12 millimeters, and that helped me get it initially out because the bolt stuck up like this high. So you may or may not have to do that. I did it just to make it a little easier, but I'm gonna clean this up now and get it all back together, hopefully. And then next we'll move to the rear main seal and the separator plates. Oh man. From memory, those plates just take silicone, Honda Bond, or Fuji Bond in this case. So 99% sure, just gonna pop those off, clean them up nice, and re-silicone. That turbo is looking wonderful. Probably should check, see how the freaking end play is on that. Probably wasted. A little bit of forward to back, but pretty fair amount of up and down as well, huh? Yeah, could be better, that's for sure. All right. Of course, the oil's dripping back down right after I clean it, but we got the got this all cleaned up. You just gotta wipe that one little drip down. All the gasket or old silicone is off. We got the pan all cleaned up, ready to go. The pickup tube is ready to go. So now what I'm gonna do is silicone all around this rim here. Oh, and by the way, there's 14 bolts on the oil pan. As you can see, that is where they're at. So if you're wondering how many you need to get out as you're doing it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, plus the 3 for the oil pickup tube, which is going to be the 2 there, and then the support bracket, and those will be 1, 2, and 3. That shares a bolt with the baffle pan, but I don't have much time to get the silicone on, get the pickup tube bolted, and get this all situated, so I'm not going to film any of this. But basically what you're going to want to do is lay your bead of silicone decently thick all around this. Make sure to go around your bolt holes, and then some silicone right here on this return drain, and then some silicone where this gasket seals as well. So, and then reverse of removal. Sorry, I got an itch, but gonna do that now. Gonna wipe this off and make sure I get that run that's coming down so that this doesn't continue. And just make sure you brake clean everything very, very good right before it's about to go together. Oh man, I got the pan back on. That was not fun at all. I need to push that dipstick tube back in as well. Wow, that was ridiculous. But we got it in there. I just put those 2 bolts back in, got to tighten those up. We got to tighten this side of the header, and we got to put the nut back on there and also tighten that up, as well as the other side. Nuts right here, it fell off because we only had one little thread on there and it pushed it off, but it's back together for the most part. So that was a lot harder than I was anticipating. Oh, why do I keep sneezing? All right. Well, pan's good, like I said. Now we got to do those bolts, header, oil cooler. I'm going to put the oil cooler in the parts washer and clean it up a little bit and pop this dipstick tube in, and I'll smear some silicone there just to be safe. Yeah, and then after that, we're going to get on the rear main seal. So I already popped the rear main seal out. It is right here. Couple different methods you can use to get this out. Normally what I do is I take like a decent wood screw, decently thin but good bite wood screw, and what I'll do is I'll drill a very, very, very tiny pilot hole in between these 2 ribs in the center here where these vertical notches are. Drill a very small pilot hole, and then I will start to thread the wood screw into there. And like I said, it has to be very thin because you don't have much room between the outside of the case and the crank. So as I was saying, you thread that in, and then once you have it threaded in a good amount, you can grab it with a pair of pliers or channel locks, vice grips, whatever you want, and then you can just pull it out or pry it, whatever you want to do, but it comes out fairly easily when you do that. So that's what I do sometimes. You have to be extremely careful not to touch your crank, because if you nick the crank where this is riding, where the seal rides, you're gonna have a leak forever for the rest of the engine's life until you put a new crank in it, or unless you can somehow repolish the crank. But anyway, what I did this time is I actually took a screwdriver and just came in this way, got under the lip. It was positioned like that. So I came in, I got under the lip, and I pried out just off of the crank right here. This very lip is no big deal, but you don't want to scratch that portion where the seal's actually riding. So I just use a regular screwdriver. This one here. Why does the air compressor kick on every time I'm trying to talk? So I use this one here, but ideally you would actually want a kind of like a brake adjustment tool. You'd want one that's flat, with a little bit of a curve, like a 45-degree curve. I actually I bent one of my screwdrivers the other day to adjust the e-brake, and I couldn't even find it today when I went to use it, but if I find it later, I will show what I mean. But there's multiple different ways to get the rear main seal out. It's all preference and what you feel comfortable with. But whatever you do, just don't damage your crank. So another option is something like this. This is technically actually a seal removal tool. And what you would do is you would get that lip under the seal, and then you push off of something here to give you leverage, and it would pull the seal out. Hopefully that makes sense. Truthfully, if these things aren't making any sense to you, you probably shouldn't be attempting to do these jobs. No offense, but it's just the way it is. So, like I was saying, we'll get these covers off, clean all this up as well. Kind of want to wait, honestly, because this silicone is still tacky, and I don't want the brake clean running down and contaminating that silicone. So I might just wait to clean that up tomorrow once the silicone's dry, but we can still take it all apart. When you do these rear plates, these have the original Phillips head screws, bolts in them. Very easy to strip out. Be extremely careful. I wouldn't recommend even attempting it without what they call impact screwdriver. So this, you put it in there, you push down, or you push in, I should say, against the surface, and you twist it in the direction in which you want it to spin, in this case counterclockwise, to loosen, and you hit the back of it with a hammer. So I'm going to attempt to demonstrate this, but I don't know how well it's going to work. Alright, get it in, push in. And that already doesn't feel too good. Alright, that impact bit, or impact driver I showed you, was kind of screwed up. Haven't used it in a while, got a little rusty. So instead I just used my cordless drill with a number 3 Phillips on there. Make sure it's a number 3, not a number 2, or you will strip them out. Be extra careful, push inward very firmly when you're pulling the trigger. And all these came loose pretty easily, so hopefully you experience the same thing. We're gonna let that silicone tack up more overnight, and then come in here in the morning, clean everything up, re-silicone, install the rear main seal. We still have to tighten the header and do the, oh man, I'm dropping stuff a lot, but we still gotta tighten this and do the oil cooler and install the new oil cooler gasket in the oil cooler itself. But we're gonna do that all in the morning, and then we gotta do this bearing, and we'll be putting in, hopefully if all goes as planned, the dealer will have the flywheel in the morning or early afternoon, and I'll have the clutch kit in the early morning as well, because the clutch we got from Napa was wrong. It was the push style instead of the pull style. But it is what it is. It was actually my fault because I gave her the wrong part number, but oh well. All right, it's gonna be it for me for today, but we'll pick up on all this stuff in the morning.